Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Thursday, November the 30th. Starting off with some injury news here. Yusuf Alamaki is set to return tonight for the Arizona Coyotes. They're going to go with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. That's something that it's not that long ago was considered revolutionary and different, and now it's just sort of a thing. Where it's like, yeah, they have 7 defensemen. What you can do. But yeah, Valimaki being back should absolutely help the Coyotes, who are currently sitting at a record of 10-9-2. Chabot is also set to return for the Ottawa Senators. Chabot, of course, when he's healthy and he's playing well, can be one of the best defensemen in the league. And having Chabot back, they've got Chychrun, they've got Sanderson. There's a good blue line there for the Ottawa Senators. It's a matter of figuring out all your partners and having them get into a rhythm and playing their games together and all that. I honestly think the Ottawa Senators, a team that should be better than what they've been so far, and maybe getting Chabot back will help. Jaden Schwartz is on the injured reserve for the Seattle Kraken. It's a lower body injury, and it's seen as being one that's probably going to end up being week to week. So for Jaden Schwartz, he got hurt the other night. Not much is being said about it, other than it is a lower body injury, and we'll see how long he's out of the lineup for Seattle. But that's going to hurt them. Seattle already a team off to the 8-10-5 start, and losing Schwartz is not going to help them. But the good news is Seattle seems to do a pretty good job of developing their players in Coachella Valley so that when they come up, you don't really notice a big difference. So we'll see how their lineup reacts tonight. Again, 8-10-5, they want to be better. Now they're going to have to try to get better without Jaden Schwartz. Toronto news, Mark Giordano. It is week to week for him. He has a broken finger. So that's going to be probably at least a couple of weeks, maybe more. They've called up Max Lajoie. So Lajoie has been called up. Doesn't look like he's going to be in the lineup for tonight's game. That blue line, though, it's getting pretty thin in Toronto, and the pressure is on Brad Treliving to go out and fix the blue line as soon as possible. Easier said than done. There's a lot of teams trying to do that. So for teams that are willing to trade a defenseman, right now the demand is high. Supply's low. There's not a lot of defensemen out there that seem to be available, at least according to the sources that I follow. So Toronto would probably have to pay a pretty steep price, depending on what they're looking for on the blue line. But yeah, we'll see what they end up doing with the number of injuries they currently have. Like Liljegren's back skating, but Klingberg is not, and there's no idea of how long those two are going to be out, when they're going to be back. So it's a thin blue line right now in Toronto. Pierre LeBrun reporting that Noah Hanifin and the Calgary Flames were very close to signing an extension. It would have been 8 years, roughly $7.5 million per season, so a $60 million contract. And then the team started struggling, and the Flames decided to pull the offer. So this is interesting. It kind of tells teams that might be looking at Hanifin as a trade target what it's going to cost to keep him around beyond this season. For the Calgary Flames, of course, you have Lindholm, that's a UFA upcoming as well. So it will be interesting to see what the Flames end up doing here. And yeah, Hanifin's a good defenseman. I think it's $7.5 million. Can he be worth it? Yeah, I would say in this marketplace, he can be worth $7.5 million. We'll see if that news coming out, and I don't think it's coincidence that it's leaked out as it has. I do think that sometimes as a GM, it's probably better for you this information gets out there, so other GMs say, all right, so that's what he's going to be looking for, and then they make that phone call. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think Hanifin, $7.5 million is fair? Where do you think he ends up going, and why? So again, you have a team looking to maybe move a defenseman in Hanifin, a team in Toronto looking to add one, but Toronto's not in a position to add a defenseman with Hanifin's cap hit at this point, because cap hit, I think it's $4.95 million right now. I don't know that Toronto has the space. And again, Klingberg, if he's going to come back and play, that's going to make just everything a headache. So we'll see where he ends up. Damon Severson's been placed on the injured reserve by the Columbus Blue Jackets. They've recalled Kent Johnson to much fanfare on their social media. And I hope Kent Johnson makes it work this time. Johnson, of course, a bit of a struggle after a strong rookie season. And maybe that time in the AHL will help him reset and get his game back. But I did like Kent Johnson last year. It was a rough start for him this season, and hopefully he's able to get back in the lineup and play well now that he's been called back up. So I got my fingers crossed for him. So the Chicago portion of the news for today, at the bottom of the board, Taylor Hall did have surgery to repair his right ACL. he is done for the season. I keep wanting to say MCL. Even when I was writing on the board, I'm like, isn't it MCL? No, it says ACL, anterior cruciate ligament. So he's done for the season as expected. Beauvillier apparently is going through the work visa process, so going from working in Canada for the Canucks to working in the States for Chicago. For some players, it's easy. They don't have to worry about this, but for others, you have to worry about your work visa. And so Beauvillier is going through that process right now. May not be available to the Blackhawks immediately, but he will be soon. Usually, this does not take that long. So I was reading on Daily Faceoff, Frank Saravalli article yesterday, and I thought, well, that's interesting. So I knew I was going to throw it into this news video today. So talking about the Corey Perry situation, and it feels like some details are starting to come out. It definitely sounds like he was behaving inappropriately. So again, we'll see what those details end up being, and that it may have been at a corporate event. Yeah, watch yourself at corporate events, boys and girls. If you hear, yeah, corporate's going to be there, watch your behavior, because it can easily lead to you're going to have to go. So Section 2E of a standard player's contract, players agree to conduct himself on and off the rink according to the highest standards of honesty, morality, fair play, and sportsmanship, and to refrain from conduct detrimental to the best interests of the club, the league, or professional hockey generally. So that's nice and vague, but it also gives them some leeway here. Now, the NHLPA has not looked to go after the Blackhawks for this. They're looking at it, and Corey Perry has not decided to appeal for the money that he's owed. Think along the lines of when the San Jose Sharks decided to terminate Evander Kane's contract, and eventually that was settled, where San Jose paid the difference between what he got from Edmonton and ultimately what he was owed by the San Jose Sharks. So they just made up the difference for what he had lost there. But each club, reportedly as well, can make up to 3 modifications to the standard club rules, because it's been said that he broke something that was related to internal team policy, right? And that modifications and or amendments must be submitted to the National Hockey League and the NHLPA at least 10 days before the start of training camp. The idea being they take a look at it and they decide, yes, this is valid and this is fine, these are unreasonable, or they can tell the club, we don't agree with this, or this is not something that you can enforce. But at any rate, it sounds like it's a little bit of both, that he conducted himself in a way that there are provisions that allow for a contract to be decided to be null and void. It can get used for players whose conditioning is not up to par once they get into training camp, but it can be used for off-ice conduct as well, at the team's discretion, and the Blackhawks decided this was egregious enough. It is going to come out. In that article from Frank Saravalli, it gets into what's being said about what actually happened. And so I think there's legal, there's HR that would be telling Kyle Davidson, watch your mouth, you can't say these things right now. Because again, there's the potential for the NHLPA to get involved. There's the potential for Corey Perry to go after the money from the team. You have to watch what you say and when you say it, because you can put yourself in an actionable position. So I understand people wanting more information. I totally get that. But for the team, you do have legal, and apparently they've brought in some more legal people with everything that's going on right now, in order to make sure that they're following all the paths they're supposed to, and not leaving themselves in a position where Corey Perry or the union could go after them. But it is a situation where he's out there now as a free agent. We'll see if anybody decides to sign him. And again, once the story comes out of what exactly happened here, I do think that's going to make a difference. I think if it's and again, I do think other GMs that are considering it will call Kyle Davidson. Davidson would likely tell the other GM, okay, here's what happened. And then that's, again, I mentioned this yesterday too, that's how some of this stuff starts leaking out. And we've already started to see that, where Perry was likely, it sounds like it was a just a corporate get-together kind of thing, and there were higher-ups in the team as well, and he may not have conducted himself very well. So I don't know what happened. Nobody at this point has any idea. I've seen all the rumors, all the speculation, but it will come out, I would think, once the legal threat is gone, or once the legal threat's been deployed, whatever ends up happening, I think we'll end up finding out what happened. Though they're not under any, and again, they don't have to tell the public what happened because they don't have to. I understand there are people who think they have to, but they really don't have to tell us. It wouldn't be the first mystery in the NHL. But I will say this: it does feel like players' conduct off the ice is far more important now than it used to be. I have heard of egregious conduct by hockey players off the ice for decades, and stuff I will not report in videos. I would never report in videos. It's not a thing because I'm not going to talk about it. But the kind of stuff that they're talking about here with Perry, I'm thinking, yeah, that I could potentially see that where. And part of it may very well be, pro athletes who make millions of dollars. You might figure, rules don't necessarily apply, but they should. And maybe we're starting to see where they do, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. But I'll be here to report on it when it does, and if I'm not in this location, if I'm somewhere else, then I'll upload a video from wherever else I am to discuss it as well, because wherever I am, I'm still on the clock. So thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But yeah, the story continues. I don't think I'll be talking about this story in the news for much longer. I think it'll probably go quiet for a while, and then we'll find out exactly what happened. And then I can do a video where we talk about, what conduct the NHL is okay with and what they're not, and how that sliding scale may have changed over the years. So anyways, there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. As I said, I will talk to you again soon.